I think we're on. Hello. How are you all doing? Right, I'm basically gonna babble on for a short while until we start getting people coming in. Please join in the live chat. That's the reason I do these live streams. It's all about the chat. Right, so have we got anyone yet? No, none in the moment. Okay. Ah, yes, we have. Yes, we have. Say hello. Let me know who you are. This live stream is it's basically so where my living circumstances, I live where I work during the week. And the girls, hello, hello, Karen. Why did I think your name was Mary or Margaret? You're the mother of Rose, the young girl in your videos. Why have I mixed that up? Anyhow, hello, Karen. Welcome. Good to see you. So during the week, I live where I work, and basically, it's a bit hard to have conversations about gardening with people because I'm in a little monk's cell of a bedroom at night by myself. But although that's quite nice, to be honest, ain't nobody got time for sharing stuff. You know, like sharing a bedroom, breathing in other people's farts and that. Let's not go there. So at least I get my own private, quiet bedroom. But as nice as that is, you can have conversations with people when I'm in my room. So doing a live stream is a brilliant way of having a conversation with people. Who else have we got? Dorothy, hello, hello. The Dorothy's. I don't think your name's Dorothy. I think your missus is called Dorothy. Dorothy's Hobby Farm. I was watching your video earlier where you do the Wizard of Oz jokes. Fantastic, fantastic. Now, to some people, hashtag dad jokes aren't cool, but in my book, they are a way of life. So they were brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And equally as funny was your missus's reactions to your jokes. You were there filming like that, and you were getting excited, and I could see it on your face, and you were building up for the punchlines, and your amazing lady was just like dead eyes, stone face. It's not happening. You're not getting a smile out of me. Well, I was smiling, so thank you very much. Alicia, Alice, meine kleine Schwester. Wie geht's, Alice? How are you? Ashley's allotment, hello. Arkansas woodcutter. Loving your channel, by the way. You're relatively newly discovered to me. Really like what you do there in Arkansas. Is that a fairly southern US state? Please excuse my ignorance of US and a state geography, but I think Arkansas, are you north of Florida, but south of like Colorado? You're sort of like in the warm part, aren't you? Not the tropical part where there's banana trees and alligators and stuff like that, but you're not like in the snowy bits. And I don't think Arkansas is anywhere near the Rust Belt, is it? Where you have winter for like 10 months of the year. Allotment Grow hello. How the devil? How the devil? Yeah, so this live chat, it's the clues in the title, chat. I'd like to chat. You might have seen the title of the video. Right, truth time. When it comes to reading, I go for it. I've got a bit of a thing about reading, and I always have, all the way from being a small boy. My bed, next to my bed when I was a little lad, sharing a bedroom with my brother whose farts I did have to use to breathe in because we were quite a large family in a very tiny little house. But our kid, my little brother Scott, luckily for me, he's a good lad. So it was a pleasure, not a torture. Not to breathe in his farts, that was unpleasurable. It's never good to do that when you're living in close confines with other people. However, what was it? I've sidetracked. Yes, next to my bed, from being a very small boy, I've always had a pile of books on the go at any one time. 7, 8, 9, 10 different books on the go. I'm constantly rotating through books. as well. So some of the gardening books which are currently at the tip of my tongue, or the top of the pops on my books that I'm currently dipping in and out of, that's what I want to talk about tonight. But before we do, Arkansas, what have I said? Arkansas? Oh, sorry. I've heard of Arkansas. I thought that was somewhere different. Hang on a minute. You can't just go around dropping the S off the end of words. Imagine the problems in the world that are caused if you got rid of the S off the end of certain words. I'm not quick-minded enough to think of a humorous example. If any of you can, leave a comment in the live chat. Let me know. If you're watching this video after it's been streamed live, leave a comment underneath as well. Rose won an international reading competition. Yes, get in, Rose. Came first out of 500,000 kids. Flaming Nora. Wow, that's good. Flipping heck. Yeah, books then. Books. Right. Before we start me showing you the books I want to talk about right now, just a little quick fire question for the live chat stream. What are your go-to gardening books? What are the gardening books that you've always got a place for in your home and you're constantly going back to and referring to? Or just a gardening book that you've read once but really, really, really enjoyed? What kind of things, books-wise, gardening-related books, are you guys into? So while I've asked that question, I'll start with fairly old book now, from the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Food, and it's all about poisonous plants and fungi. And I hope this is coming out on the screen the right way around, the correct way around, and it's not like mirrored. I'm not quite sure. It's a bit hard to tell. Food Forest Permaculture. Hello, 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 hello. So already we've had an answer. Rosie's Allotment Adventures, allotment month by month. Do you know what? I think I've got that book. I'm not sure if I've got it. Excuse me. I'm not sure if I've got it here with me on the bookcase of power above my head, where I live, where I work. It might be at my home, that book, but I'm pretty sure I've got that book. Yeah, it's a good book. Really good book. It's one of many that I've got. I'm not mirrored. Oh, that's great. Right then. So this one, poisonous plants and fungi. The reason I'm enjoying this is it's given me a new way of looking at very, very, very well-known common plants that grow in the UK and other parts of the world as well. But this is a UK focused book. It's given me a new way of looking at them. There's things in here that I never knew were poisonous until I got this book. It's like a little companion. If I go out for a walk, it's the kind of thing I would throw in a little rucksack with me. Or if I've got one of my parkers on, I'll stick it on one of my inside pockets. I like to call them my scally pockets. But if not, if I'm out and about and I see something and I remember what it is that I've seen when I get back, I will refer to this book and find out whether or not it's poisonous. You know, all sorts of things. I've learned loads out of this book, and it doesn't just say if it's poisonous or not. It explains how it's poisonous. So, for example, something like the foxglove digitalis species. It's not just if you eat the leaves that it's going to do you some harm. Although, in a minute, I'll explain. There's an extract from foxgloves which is actually used in medicine to treat heart conditions. However, don't start taking it yourself. It's very, very, very tightly controlled and regulated. It's not the kind of thing you want to be eating. Any part of a foxglove plant, don't even go there. But, however, it's not just ingestion of a part of a foxglove plant that's going to hurt you. Did you know just touching the leaves, touching it, raises your heart rate? How dangerous is that? Flipping Nora. So if there was ever a reason for us to be wearing gardening gloves, I think there's plants like foxgloves which give us that reason. We should be protecting ourselves a bit more, perhaps, shouldn't we? So what other kind of things? So Arkansas Woodcutter says he's read half of Epic Tomatoes this morning. I've not heard of that book. I will go back to this later on and get that name and have a look for it on a very well-known website which rhymes with marathon, but it's got a Z in it. I don't know if you can say trade names and stuff. Although saying that, I've just shown you that that's a trade name, I suppose, isn't it? That's a book. So I'll say Amazon. I'll have a look on Amazon later on. Right. What else have we got in here? What other books are people reading at the moment? Charlie Dimmock. Charlie Dimmock's calendar is my favourite read. Ashley's allotment. Okay, yes. I think I know what you mean. I think I know what you mean. Right. Grow Your Own Drugs by James Wong. I've got that up there. In fact, hang on. How can I do this without making a total mess of everything? Right. Just very quickly before I went live on this, I was looking at some of the books I've got here where I live with me. My main stash of books are at my actual house. And here we go. And I picked this one up, and after about 0.23 seconds, I put it back down. And I'll tell you why I put it back down. I'm not talking about his gardening knowledge, his botanical genius. I'm talking about being someone that has an account on Twitter. He does my head in. He absolutely winds me up on Twitter. It's like he goes out of his way to try and reel a certain section of society in order. So what is it they call it? He's a virtue signaller, if you know what that means. He deliberately lays traps and baits a certain kind of person to take that bait, and he can wave his virtue signalling flag and go, oh, you're not a nice person. And I can't be doing with him on social media. However, he's not mouthing off about his personal opinions in his books. So I do read his books. This is one of them. I can recommend it. It's an interesting book. But you've just made me do what I didn't want to do. I didn't want to talk about him because I don't want to give him more sort of like, I don't want to get him in the gardening public conscience more than he already is, because there's parts of him I disagree with. However, when it comes to his botanical knowledge and his gardening prowess, I can't disagree with that. And I respect the bloke for purely for what he does with the growing stuff. I'm into that. But there is a line. There's two parts of me. One part, there's a bit of him that I don't like, and there's a bit of him that I do like. So anyhow, James Wong. He's always white, never Wong. He's always telling other people he's white, not Wong. And I don't like him for that. Right. Well, what other books have we got? Right. Flowerpedia. It's by Sherilyn Darcy. Now, I'll ask you guys, what book do you think I'm constantly dipping in and out of this for a certain type of video I make here on YouTube? This is one of my go-to books for a certain style of video that I make. What series of videos do you think it is that I do that I use? This is one of my many Bibles for that particular series of videos that I do. I've got about 13, 14 different books that I dip in and out of. What do you think those videos are? Right, there's a few mentions of James Wong in the comments. Go Vegetables by Alan Buckingham. Oh my word, this is freaky. Can you lot actually see? Can you lot see my bookcase up here? I'm sure I've got that one with me. Well, I was just looking at it before. No, I haven't. It's a different one. I've got the is it John Harrison? I've got the John Harrison one. However, I've got the Alan Buckingham one. but I've definitely got that. That'll be at my house. I'm currently not at my house. The girls are though, so don't go around and rob it, because there are people there. Just because I'm not there doesn't mean that it's empty. All right. Yeah, definitely got the Alan booking, and that's one of my, before I go to the allotment, that's the kind of thing when I'm during the week or just before I go up to the plot. If I've got a question in my mind about how to grow a certain plant or how I plant a certain plant out, that's one of my go-to books, the Alan Buckingham book. What else have we got? Yes, allotment grower. Yes, this one, Flowerpedia by Sherilyn Darcy, is one of the ones I go to for my meaning of plants video. It's an absolute goldmine of little tidbits of information. It tells you there's about 1,000 different types of plant in here that get a name check, and it'll tell you what cultural significance they have. So what meanings they have to various people, although it doesn't go into great detail. So, for example, it might say daffodil. I'm making this up, by the way. It might say that the daffodil symbolises peace, prosperity, and loyalty in a relationship, right? It then doesn't go on to say what parts of the world it has those meanings to or for. I have to try and find out a little bit more from other sources, but it also tells me what birth month certain flowers are, what signs of the zodiac, which deities certain flowers represent. It's brilliant. So when I go to do the research for my Meaning the Plants videos, that's 9 times out of 10. That's the first book I pick up with my pen and paper in hand and start writing notes down. That is one of my go-to books, and I can see it being for quite some time. So another one that I've really been enjoying at the moment, before I give you the big reveal of which the next book is that I've currently been enjoying. Let's have another little look at the live chat. Heirloom Vegetable Gardening, Arkansas Woodcutter. Okay, that's another one. I'm going to have to come back to this video and write that down later on, and I'll be looking for it on Amazon. What else have we got? Okay. Hello, Dan's Kitchen Garden Allotments. Hiya, how are you? Right. So, Rose's Allotment Adventures. You've got that book from the library. You've got it indefinitely now they're closed. Well, let's hope you get away with that one. Right. So another book that I'm currently dipping in and out of, mainly for interest, to be honest, is by a lady called Helen Yost. I have no idea how you pronounce the surname. Yoest, Yeast, Yoest. I don't know. Let's just call her Helen. So in Helen's book, it's plants with benefits, right? And it's certain plants that have an aphrodisiac effect. Now, being someone that grows a lot of food and herbs to eat, it's like an extra little angle. It gives me another angle, a different way of looking at the food that I grow. So, for example, fennel is sexy, right? And I learned that from reading what Helen has written about fennel in this book, Plants with Benefits. Fennel is sexy. Apparently, in the Kama Sutra, fennel is named as a sexual stimulant. Speaking of sexual stimulants, who took part in World Naked Gardening Day on Saturday? The first Saturday in May was World Naked Gardening Day. Who took part in it? Did any of you guys watching take part in it? I did not. Having 1 or 2 buttons undone on my shirt is about the most you're going to get from me. Ash's Allotment tree felling video coming up tomorrow. My poor plum tree has to go. Well, that's a shame. Are you going to replace it with another plum, or are you going to keep that space empty, or are you going to put something totally different there? Rose's allotment adventures. No, you didn't take part. Okay. Ashley's allotment. Yeah, I did take my hat off. You took your hat off. Well done. Well done. I should be wearing that really because I'm not into this haircut I've currently got. Allotment grower Adam. You kept yourself fully clothed. Good man. Class. That's what that is. Class. Right. Although that said, if people do want to get the bits out, good luck to them. It's just not something I want to do. You know what I mean? There's one or two YouTubers that have uploaded videos of their naked gardening day exploits over the weekend. All my days. All my days. There's one lady, I was mentioning that fennel is a sexual stimulant, right? I reckon this one particular lady that we all know and love, I'm not going to mention her channel. I definitely think she had a fennel sandwich before she made her video. Hashtag say no more. That's all I'm saying. Hashtag just saying. If you know who it is, I can't stop you putting it in the live chat, can I? That's entirely up to you. If you think you know which video I'm referring to, but she certainly wasn't the only one. But I do remember when Terry King did it, but I think Terry got away with it. I think the way Terry did it, but it's Terry, isn't it? It's Terry the King. Terry's was all right. It's just I don't know. Perhaps it's fear in my head. I've got a little bit of fear about doing it because once you get your bits out, there's not really any going back from there, is there? Do you know what I mean? Once you've really sort of like shown everyone everything, where can you go from there? And that scares me a little bit. But Terry's a big lad in in more ways than one, as his video showed. So he can cope with it. I just don't think I'd be able to cope with it. It's not for me. Measured to perfection. Yes, it was. Yes. Right. So plants with benefits and another book. Right. At first glance, not really what you'd call a gardening book. However, when I read at night, when I'm in bed, the last sort of like 5 minutes of reading, it doesn't really go in because I'm starting to fall asleep. But just up before that point, when my brain's still working and I'm thinking about things, this book, Stephen Fry, Mythos, Greek myths, his retelling of certain Greek myths, it's got loads of plant references, garden references, all part of stories to do with the Greek gods. For example, hyacinths. I've folded the page over for a certain bit about hyacinths, and let's just say I've got some footage of hyacinths on my phone waiting to be edited, researched, and turned into a Meaning of Plants video. You so know that where I've made that little fold there, I'm going to be referring to this book for the story of Hyacinthus. Okay? That, it's well worth a read, not just if you're into gardening, if you like history, if you want to find out more about the Greek legends, it's well worth a read. He's written it in a really good way as well. It's not like a boring history book. He's put it in a language that's easy to follow, easy to understand. It's very entertaining. But also, the main point of this video is there's plenty of plant references in here. Now, there is, do you know the word tantalizing? There's a bloke called Tantalos, one of the Greek myths, Greek legends. The main part of his story, or the end of his story, if you will, is set in a garden kind of setting to do with a water feature and a fruit tree. I have got a little seed of an idea germinating about retelling Stu's version, the Petals and the Paving Slabs version of retelling the story of Tantalos. But I'm going to need a few props. It might require me to stand in the pond in my food forest, and there's frogs in there, and I don't want frogs like biting my legs off and stuff. So I might have to bribe one of my daughters to do the standing in the pond bit instead. But that's also going to cost me money, pocket money, to bribe them. So I still need to think about if I am going to do a little short story video of Tantalos and how we get the word tantalizing and what the connection is with a garden setting, things that we find in gardens. I still haven't fully worked it through in my mind yet how I'm going to be doing that, but I will do at some point. I'll get a pen and paper out and just write a load of ideas, spend an hour doing that, realise that all my ideas are rubbish and go back to the very first thing that I thought of and just do that anyway. So let's have a little look at the... Hello, Clarice. How are you? Bogman's in the house. Warren. Hiya, Warren. You all right? Who else have we got? Alice. I've been wanting to read the Stephen Fry book. He never disappoints. No, he doesn't. I've read them in the wrong order. I actually read the second one. Is it? I forget what it's called. Heroes. I read that before I read Mythos. I enjoyed Heroes so much, I went out my way to get Mythos. But like I say, loads of gardening and plant references in here, loads of them. So if you, like me, want to know a little bit more about plants, not just what time of year do I start the seeds off, that kind of thing. If you want to know a bit more about the history and background and folklore of plants, I can well recommend that book. And then one last book. It's quite an old book now, and it is dated. I've got to be honest. And there are certain modern trends that just don't appear in this book. Certain plants that are in vogue over the last few years, mainly because of things like the Chelsea Flower Show, have made them fashionable and desirable, just don't feature in this book. It's very of its time, right? So hydrangeas are a bit of a thing. Is this book, Reader's Digest, Your Gardening Questions Answered. Now, a lady that cuts my hair quite a lot called Alex, she gave me this book. God bless you, Alex. It is a mine of information. Really is a mine of information. It's basically, they'll look at a plant or an aspect of gardening, and then every time somebody that read the Reader's Digest wrote in with a question, they've picked like the best question and answers. So for one particular plant, off the top of my head, irises, there might be 5 or 6 different iris themed question and answers in that book. So it's a really good sort of like source of when I have a question about a certain plant. That's one of the books I'll go to. Your Gardening Questions Answered. Right, I'll ask you again, guys, if you recently joined, what are your go-to gardening books? What are the books that you couldn't see yourself parting with because they are very useful for you in your gardening exploits? Oh, Pag's in. Hiya, Pag. You all right? Kaylee as well. Hello, Kaylee. Hello to you. Right, so yeah, there's my question, guys. What are your gardening go-to books? So, like I say, I've only got a fairly small selection of books here where I'm currently living now with me because I live where I work. Most of my books are at home. I've got a lot. I should count them really, just out of sheer geekiness. I should count them, and I know how many gardening books I've got, but it's a lot. And put it this way, I might have to borrow other people's fingers and toes to count them all on. They have their own dedicated bookcase with a few different shelves on. Abundance by Alice Fowler is good. Right, I quite like Alice Fowler. I like her approach to things. So much so that I believe a year or two ago she released a book that's not really gardening related. She's got an inflatable canoe and she canoes around the canals of Birmingham. And when she's trying to describe in this book how she sees nature differently because she's sort of like on the water, away from the busy streets and everything. But she's literally in the heart of Birmingham city centre on these canals. But she notices the nature when she's down just above the water level on her inflatable canoe. And in this book, apparently, she describes the nature. That is on my to-read list. I will get Alice Fowler's book about canoeing on the canals of Birmingham at some point. What else have we got? Pag says his go-to is Angie. That's your Mrs. I believe, Pag. She has just found out that her go-to books are ridiculously out of date. Well, yeah, I've just been saying that a certain one of my books is a little bit out of date. However, it's a bit like the football, isn't it, gardening? It's cyclical. Things go in and out of fashion. It's constantly going up and down and round and back again. So, 40, 50 years ago, spraying chemicals and everything was the thing to do. It's a bit frowned upon in a lot of society now. However, we don't know what's going to be happening in the future. If the world continues to get warmer, more and more diseases might become prevalent. Because quite a few diseases, although when I say that, I mainly mean human diseases. But if it applies to human diseases, the logic could suggest it would also apply to agricultural or horticultural diseases as well. When things are warmer, diseases find it easier to survive. So we might have to start looking at using chemicals to knock certain horticultural diseases back. So the spraying, indiscriminate spraying of chemicals might come back in vogue again. And we might all say goodbye to sheep's wool pellets for slug control, perhaps, because certain movements have said, no, don't touch sheep. You don't eat them. Don't cut the fur off the wool. Don't cut the wool off. You leave sheep alone. Things change, don't they? Attitudes and the way we look at certain parts of life change. So you say outdated now. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? Keep hold of those books because they might come back into fashion one day soon. A little bit like my shirts. I've basically been wearing the same sort of shirts since about 1993. Yeah, because I know that everything is cyclical, and if I just keep wearing the shirts I like to wear, once every 10 years, I have my golden moment in the sun where my clothes have yet again come back into fashion. And then for the next 9.5 years, I'm out of fashion. But at some point, I'm going to be right because everything's cyclical. So it's what does it say about a broken clock? It's correct twice a day. Might be broke, but it's still right. What else have we got in the comments? No dig is fashionable now, and that's not new. You're right. You're right. Yeah. Who's the godfather of no dig? Charles Dowding. Charles Dowding. He lives, apparently he lives really close to Glastonbury. I've never been to Glastonbury myself, the festival, the music festival. I've never been, but I'd love to know if he does anything connected to the festival. I once saw an interview with him and he was saying he's that close. He basically, when the festival is on, he just sits in his back garden and listens to all the bands. He's really close to it, apparently. I wonder if he does anything though. Like, does he? Because they have lots of. It's not just bands, is it? At Glastonbury, they have all sorts of little areas with different things going on. I wonder if he's got like a no-dig gardening. This is how you grow your own food. Little display area, or if he's ever done that'd be interesting. Allotment grower. I like the older books, the older methods. generally turn up a unique little tidbit of info that we've forgotten over time. Good point. Good point. I forget all sorts of stuff. I really do. It niggles me in my gardening life. It really does niggle me because I know that at one point in time I will have known it, and then I don't realise that I knew it, forget it, and someone will say something, and I'm like, oh yeah, how did I forget that? How did you know? Of course, you plant carrot seeds that way. I knew that. I know I used to know that. How have I forgotten that? That sort of thing. Alice, you can verify the fact about my shirts, just in case you were wondering. Alice and I are related. Yeah. She's seen the best of me and the worst of me. But what she'll never see is all of me on a World Naked Garden Day video. Because that's just wrong. Right? You don't get your bits out if your sister is going to be watching it, do you? That's just wrong. You're not going to see it here on this channel. Not for me. Not for me. Kaylee says, your go-to gardening book is your allotment handbook. Oh, Pag, don't worry about that. Don't you worry about catching up, mate, and commenting on them. So, well, if you want to catch up, brilliant. You know, we all need the views, don't we? But thank you. But don't worry about commenting, mate. I know that you put some graft into your comments. There's a lot of thinking time goes into your comments there, Pag. Time's precious. It's one of the most precious things we have. Don't waste it by writing. As amazing as your comments are, you've already given me a bag full of treats with your comments. You don't need to give me any more. And if I wanted more, that's me just being greedy. So I'm trying not to be greedy. As much as I love your comments, Pag, your poems, really don't stress yourself out about it, mate. Honestly, just if you do, I'm very grateful. Thank you. If you don't, that's ace as well. Don't worry about it. Right, guys, I've just talked about a few of the gardening books that I've got here. If you've only just joined us, I'll recap. So these are the books that I'm currently going into at the moment. I mean, I'm always rotating and going through different gardening books. I've got loads of gardening books, but these are some of the ones that are at the top of my pile at the moment. Reader's Digest, Your Gardening Questions Answered. It's a bit like an encyclopedia when I have a problem. I've got a problem with a certain plant in my garden. That's one of the books I'll go to first to see if there's anything in there about it. Now, Mythos by Stephen Fry. You might not think that's a gardening book, and you're right. It's not a book about gardening. However, it's absolutely full of references to plants and garden environments that keep cropping up in all the stories about the various Greek gods, the Greek heroes, the Greek legends, the Greek myths. Loads of plant references in there. So, what else have we got? Plants with Benefits by Helen Yeast. Don't know how you say her name, sorry. Mainly edibles here, stuff that common plants that we grow that we can eat that have an aphrodisiac benefit. So that's just not because I'm going out my way to try and make myself sexy. It's just an extra little spin, an extra little bit of knowledge that makes it more interesting. The things that I grow make more interesting for me. The things that I grow, what else can I find out about them? And I like the randomness of this. Plants with Benefits. So, fennel sandwich. That's all I'm saying. Fennel butties. Flowerpedia. One of my most well-used books when I make my Meaning of Plants videos by Sherilyn Darcy. Really, really interesting book. It's not the sort of book that you sit down and read from start to finish like a story. It's not a story. It's an encyclopedia, basically. So think of a plant, and you find that plant. I mean, it tells you all the little bits of folklore symbolism connected to those plants. There's about 1,000 plants in there. And another interesting book that I've been getting quite a bit of joy from recently is Poisonous Plants and Fungi by the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Food. And in a similar kind of way to the Plants with Benefits book, this gives me a different spin on how I look at certain plants and find it quite interesting about all the poisonous stuff. Yeah, so they're my books. You guys in the comments have been amazing. You've been telling me what sort of books you're into. What are your go-to gardening books? Right, Adam, take care. Stay low, move fast, keep washing your hands. See you later, Adam. Thanks for joining us. Right, so just yeah, we'll wrap it up here now. Thank you very, very much for joining in. If you've not been watching it live, leave a comment underneath. Let me know what are your go-to gardening books. All right, guys. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time. In fact, I will see you Thursday morning when I've got another video scheduled to be made public. This video features a new challenge that Ruby, Deputy Head Gardener Ruby, has come up with, and her challenge is let the chickens choose. We do it for the first time in the video that's going to be released Thursday morning. Okay, so have a look out for that. Let the chickens choose. The possibilities for that challenge are endless. And I'm really grateful that Ruby is such a nice person, because if she had a bit of a twisted, nasty streak, she could make life very difficult for me with that challenge. She'd come up with all sorts of cruel and unusual ways to torment a dad by letting the chickens choose certain things. You'll find out more when the video goes live on Thursday. Right, take care of yourselves, guys. See you around, and thanks for taking part. I'm going to end right now. Any minute now. It's happening. It's finishing. Yes, see ya.